Is voice AI a scam? That's a big question, of course. To people that don't know anything about it,
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. And I'm also asking myself this question because I've worked for quite a few months on voice AI, did lots of demos with different companies. So if I find out now that it's actually just a scam, then that would be kind of bad. But I've been able to have some very good conversations with it. Many people have liked it so far. I've gotten good feedback. So yeah, what do you think? Is voice AI a scam? Is it overhyped? Is it bullshit?
I think it's too early to say. That's definitely one thing. If you look at it like this, what voice AI essentially is that it's the mechanism of an appointment setter when you look at it
Hmm.
in a business sense, not in these like fancy
Hmm.
application ways. If you were to build like a custom app, something like we've gone over in the last episode with therapists and stuff, then what it
Hmm.
essentially serves as in businesses is the concept of an appointment setter, which is
Yeah.
obviously a very useful component of a business.
Yeah, very interesting. You just said that you can't really tell yet if it's just a scam or just bullshit. And then you said, okay, appointment setting. But appointment setting works now. Like I've got a good appointment setter that sets appointments, checks your calendar, has good conversations. So in your eyes, what could go wrong? So what would have to happen now that in 5 months you look back and say, yeah, voice AI, that was just overhyped, that was just bullshit.
I believe that this won't happen when it comes to voice AI is that everybody says it's too slow for them. If they even have a problem with it, if they are not like impressed by it right off the bat,
Hmm.
by the I mean just the general savings of time and money that voice AI can bring to a company, then the obvious thing is just like, oh well, it still sounds quite kind of unnatural. It still is too slow. It still has too much latency and delay in the voice,
Hmm.
and maybe just um, yeah, I just don't like it because it's AI and it sounds kind of weird. So I believe that's like the biggest,
Interesting point.
so I believe that's like the biggest like point that people make, or the biggest objection that I think is
Hmm.
also in a sense the easiest one to like kind of handle or go over or to crush, because well,
Yeah.
looking back 4 months even like at the beginning of this year, so these platforms, for example, they just came out in like January, February, like Vappy, for
Hmm.
example, but now they're outperforming those platforms that were maybe around for a year already, like Air, for example, just in the sense of the capabilities that it has and the versatility and customizability, and then also
Hmm.
obviously the latency. It just vastly outperforms these companies that have been kind of more strict when it comes to the approach of building voice AI agents. So
Hmm.
alone in that sense, we have seen basically a huge amount of growth and improvement over extremely short amount of time. And this is just basically proof of the past, or of like the last couple of months, which is still going to carry on forward in the future. And with GPT-4o being released a couple of weeks ago, we have, in that sense, basically solved this problem within itself with just GPT-4o. Because yes, maybe latency isn't really there yet, but even if we talk right now, then our latency is also different. But why is it acceptable? Why is the latency like acceptable? Well, because it's natural, because you have like these dramatic pauses, and you have, just like I talk, and this like really like recognizable style of each, like unique human being. And this is kind of what the voice AI also has to learn and incorporate. And in that sense,
Yeah.
this is what will come obviously with time.
Absolutely, but I think it's already quite unique. I don't know. I'm using Sarah from 11 Labs a lot in my projects, and also Mira lately from 11 Labs. And to me, they kind of have their own personality. It's a very distinctive way in which they speak, and very unique, and sometimes a bit too enthusiastic, a bit too excited, sometimes even a bit weird. Sometimes they just react, and it's like, yeah, okay, wouldn't have reacted the same way, but like I think they're unique and they're not like robo callers with a robotic voice. That just doesn't sound good at all. So I'd say they are definitely quite unique. What do you usually tell people if some people tell you, okay, yeah, but it doesn't sound like a real human? What do you have to say to this?
Well, exactly what I've just said is that we are so early in this, and for it to even work right now like it does, the just the benefits that it brings with it, the improvements like in efficiency and of course the cost savings that it brings is just just outweigh the negative of it not being maybe like 100% perfectly human and resembling all of like the complex variations that the human brain just or complex computation that the human brain just does at once and then kind of just puts out and manages to put out into words. And these words just encompass all of like different emotions, different kind of tonalities, and that's obviously like millions and billions of variables just like in one word or in one sentence. That's obviously quite hard to do if you're also still focusing on like latency and just general usability. Because it's
Absolutely.
what it what we're essentially doing is, yes, you can now generate like extremely realistic and emotional voices, but it takes time to render them because it takes a lot of compute to just handle this one thing of nailing the voice. And therefore, in order to have like a completely functional tool, which is voice AI, we obviously need to take a little bit away from each aspect in order to be able to make it up as a whole and to not just only focus on the voice, because we also have tool
Absolutely.
calling and the logic and back channeling and all of that stuff.
At least as of right now, it's definitely not perfect. Definitely doesn't sound like completely like a real human. Its latency is a bit more, and you can just tell it's not a real human. Obviously, this is going to become much better in the future because GPT, I already used GPT 4.0 in my builds, but not the voice to voice functionality. It's still text to text, and then like with transcriber and 11 Labs voice in the end. But if it's going to be voice to voice, or I think it's called speech to speech, STS, as far as I know, um, that's going to become so much better. So it's very obvious to me that this is going to become so much better in the future. But I also have a next point to make. It would be interesting to hear your opinion on this. I would say, why does it even have to resemble a real human? In my opinion, it doesn't even have to sound like a real human, because if I have a company and we're getting 100 calls every day and I can only answer 30 of those and it's completely stressing me out, and then I get a voice AI doing the job for me, answering all 100 calls perfectly fine. I'm not stressed. I can do my work, but the voice AI doesn't sound like a real human, but almost like a real human, but not completely like a real human. Like, that doesn't matter. It solves the problem, and that's perfectly fine.
I guess it's probably a lot of like personal preference, because what I believe we both have seen is either people being just completely not even realizing it at all, not even catching on, even like the worst performance of the voice AI, they just don't realize that it's an AI they're talking to. And then we've seen obviously the middleman who just doesn't care. Maybe he realizes, but it's just, oh, okay, this is now a thing. And then of course
Mm-hmm.
we have like the stands, the people that absolutely go haywire for this, that have been waiting for a voice AI call, that basically run to everyone that talks about voice AI and opts into their voice AI in order to see how their voice AI performs that they have opted into. The fourth one would be that there's the ones that absolutely hate it, you know.
The
But
critics,
that's
yeah, they
just
understand it. They totally get it. But they say, like, would you want to talk to an AI? No, no, I don't. Or that just bring up some negative use cases, which is actually another point that I've noticed a lot. So some people, they just don't like it. They just don't like talking to AI. Okay, fair enough. I mean, you have to love it. I totally understand.
but the
That
question
one
here
for
is
sure.
like, do
And
they
uh,
do they actually have a problem with the technology itself, with AI itself, or like the whole like the perpetration of it in like media and the society as a whole? Because AI just gets perpetrated as this danger, as this like thing to
yeah,
replace your job, to take away all your like belongings and to basically disown you because you won't be needed anymore and therefore you won't be able to afford anything anymore. So I guess you could say that one, A, this is the problem, and maybe B as well, that people that are building voice AI are trying too hard to actually replicate humans. Maybe that's also where a problem comes in, where they say
maybe.
like, I want
Hmm.
I want a clear cut definition of what is a human and human output and an AI output, meaning that they probably wouldn't have a problem if the AI were actually truly or easily recognizable as AI, meaning that it's not even trying to sound realistic. maybe not a crazy robotic voice, but maybe there's some other way to utilize voice AI, and then to make it not try to be human so hard. Maybe that's like a big factor of many people,
Hmm.
that they think that that's not a real good thing to replicate human life.
Possibly. I mean, with every technology, there are always people who just don't like it. You show them something cool, and I personally know some people that just don't like it. They're just gonna be like, yeah, no, it's just a hype. I actually don't like it. For some of them, I'm sure that they actually realize that it's amazing, and then it can be used in so many ways, and it kind of scares them, and they think, oh, I'd prefer this doesn't even exist. So yeah, I mean, that's probably the case for some people, but for me, most people I talk to, they really like it. They really see huge potential in it. And that's why it's a lot of fun to be in voice AI right now.
And another thing would be like that maybe people are kind of afraid of missing the human touch. That also might be a thing.
Possibly.
But in general, I would say that's not a bad thing. Maybe because on a small level, maybe for like the next couple of years, that would make a little bit of a dent somewhere. That people would say, "Oh, I'm
Yeah,
missing like the human touch over the internet because now everything I talk to via chat, via voice, it's just automated. It's AI." And now on the upside, I would say that why wouldn't this motivate people to actually get out more and do more? So those guys that
exactly.
sit at home, never
Yeah,
do anything, well, now they have a reason to go out because they
exactly.
they always talk to the same voice, 11 Lab Sarah, because it's then like the best developed one, or whatever, and everybody uses it.
Yeah,
And they call
don't look
the
for
dentist.
personal touch in voice AI. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that would be completely wrong. I personally would have a problem also with like the imitation side of it, to like to go into like the realms of an AI girlfriend. That would be like kind of weird, honestly.
Hmm.
Just to try to replicate or to artificially generate a thing that doesn't exist, like an AI girlfriend is essentially a huge code. Love you guys, by the way, that, but still, I mean, it's true. Like, get out there, get a girlfriend. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
So
it's a big use case for sure, but I also wouldn't recommend anyone to actually use this, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Okay, personal touch. You do lose personal touch, but me personally, I don't care if I get perfect customer support and
yeah,
my
that's the thing.
question is answered perfectly, then like, I don't need personal touch in customer support.
And I guess the thing is like that's ultimately what it comes down to, is the performance. Like, do you want to have a human sitting there and waiting 11 minutes to have something solved, or having an AI answer it to you in 2 minutes and solve it completely? Do you just want to wait the extra 9 minutes just in order, to have the same result?
One thing I'm always seeing is over-promised capabilities. And that's actually a big thing because there are fake demos out there. There are also demos out there that have just been improved afterwards by people cutting the latency. So if you speak and then bot waits 800 milliseconds, then I've seen some videos people just cut that down to 200 milliseconds, and then all of a sudden it sounds very good. But obviously people can recognize it, and in this particular video, people got quite mad in the comments saying, "Oh yeah, this looks like a scam, or it doesn't. It's not actually that good." I mean, fair enough. I don't think if you're recording a video of your voice here, I don't think you should improve it. You should work on it afterwards to make it look better than it actually is. So that's for sure where lots of criticism or skepticism comes from. However, what I'm doing is for my demos, I'm also uploading many demos on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and I have even uploaded demos that aren't perfect. So I showed a demo, a specific demo to quite a few people and some enterprises even. And there's one mistake in there. There's at one point the AI has a bit of a just mispronounces a word, but I chose to leave it in there because I mean it isn't perfect, and I'm not going to pretend that it's perfect because then in the end it isn't, and I don't want people to be disappointed. So yeah, just be honest. I think that's very important.
That's the honest way, and that just kind of like, comes back to that point that we've made before: is that do you actually want to hide that it's an AI, or are you going to be obvious and say like, "Hey, I'm an AI," and you scream AI just basically, so they pick up the phone and notice, okay, it's an AI. I guess like the biggest hurdle now to business owners maybe is, oh, people won't like my service in that case if there's not a human answering. But I would say like 99% of cases, businesses don't even contact their leads. So there's like a huge opportunity that's being like left out. And now, because voice AI is so cheap, when you compare it to like a whole appointment setting team, doesn't matter if you have it in-house or outsource it. It's just much,
Absolutely.
much, much, much cheaper, much more cost effective. And it actually gets the same or even better results, you know? So that's that's the thing where I would say make it obvious. Just don't shy away from the fact that it's an AI. You know, have a voice that's like uniquely AI, but not actually annoying. So you know, I obviously wouldn't want to have answer a phone and have the TikTok AI voice like yapping at me for some fucking appointment. Then I obviously would hang up immediately. But if it was like made obvious that it's an AI and it actually was able to provide value for me, so this is the whole like thing that I have, the idea that I have. I don't want to use AI to sell because selling is actually 99% of sales out there isn't logical. Like the guys that are
Mm-hmm.
only the guys at the top that are selling like companies and you are doing M&A, LBOs. That's obviously like logical because you're just 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year even in the spreadsheets, and you're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what the company is worth. And
Yeah.
there's obviously just logic, you know. But on like this
Mm-hmm.
peer-to-peer human level interaction, this type of sales, you know, where you hop on a Zoom call and you don't have every member of the board sitting there and just arguing about how much a company is worth, then it's obviously something emotional. Selling like a coaching program, selling like a rehabilitation program, selling a weight loss program, all of that stuff, that's highly emotionally loaded. And then I think like that you shouldn't actually be making the sales with the AI. That in the end should still be a human. Doesn't matter if it's virtual or in person, but it still should be a human, and you shouldn't touch that, I believe, in order to like actually have a good performance. But what I think
Mm-hmm.
that the amazing use case of voice AI is, and AI in general, is that we can, for basically pennies on the dollar, provide value at scale to every single lead that you have.
Where it couldn't be developed beforehand. So I think,
Yeah, true.
especially for sales, if there's a good salesperson right now, I don't think they'll be replaced by AI soon, because
No,
if it's emotional what
never.
they're doing, which it
Perfect.
probably
Yeah.
is, like I just don't think that's going to happen. However, if a company doesn't have the capacity to sell every single product with the real salesperson, so if you're just buying a small product for $10 and you're able to hop on a call with an AI and you can ask that AI anything, and the AI is going to kind of tell you why it's good and to show you how you can profit from it. Like that's good. That's you have service there where there wasn't service on that before. So that would be that's that's how I view this.
But what it obviously shouldn't be is like those typical cold calls that you expect, or just a general like marketing that's still like
Yeah,
that has still infected like the 80s type of marketing mentality that still is infected like 90% of businesses that said like what they say is like that we are the best, you should buy us because we have the flashiest things, and you know we are the best, we are the best, buy from us every single second of the day without even providing any value up front. And this is like I believe that voice AI has the same use case as content. You know, it's the thing that we are doing because you can provide value with it. If you now call that hotline that you just mentioned, well, what does it do in essence? It doesn't say like, hey, it's 99.99. If you buy it now, you get it. You get plus this, plus that, plus this. You only have 3 minutes left. Now buy it. Link in bio. Blah blah blah. CTA, CTA, CTA. Just like a flood of like the stupid marketing mentality. No, that's not what it is, and
yeah,
that's not how you build agents. And you know that yourself. What do you do in the sense? You first of all try to gauge the lead, try to approach it, try to figure out the pain points. Now try to work these pain points. You know, it's just maybe like a physician like working like on a muscle trying to release the knot. And this is what voice AI can now do, because previously you didn't have the capacity for it. You couldn't just call every single lead, every single person that's interested in your business, and now have an engaging conversation and actually find out each of the person's pain points or each of your leads pain points. And this was previously
absolutely.
impossible. And this
Yeah,
is what voice AI allows us to do.
absolutely. So you can just have more conversations. Yeah, which just wouldn't be possible to do all of this with a real human, and that obviously provides lots of value. And I'm very curious to see where this is all going to go in the future. And this leads to the next point, interesting one. on my latest LinkedIn post, um, someone commented, like, I showcased VoiceAI with a demo, and then someone commented, "Great, we're going to have more scam calls and more spam calls," which is an interesting comment, and I totally get it, because VoiceAI, of course, it can be used to just first of all scam people, to just call many numbers and have some scam running, where in the end you want the person to tell their credit card number or something, and so that you can scam them. That might happen. And also spam calls, like advertisement with voice using voice AI and voice AI. You just call people, and this can happen, and everything that can be done will be done. So it's going to be the case. However, I argue that any technology, like literally anything, can be used in a good and in a bad way, and that's also the case here. Have you encountered people thinking this stuff about voice AI?
Yeah, we've talked about this today. Actually, funny enough, is that why do these laws exist? These laws have existed, or basically like these regulations and the problems, and people anticipate these problems that you've talked about from voice AI. Why? Because well, humans have done it already. It doesn't matter if you are a scamming center from India or wherever they are located. If you are like call center spam sales, then well, humans have done it before. I mean, you've seen it countless of times. Maybe we've been called by them already, and this is why maybe you also have that sentiment. So it's kind of the problem with voice AI isn't actually that the technology itself; it's the bias towards it. And this is kind of what you have to dismantle, because what does every single person think that when they get called by an unknown number, that they maybe see in I actually like from an intuitive, like I sense that this is a spam call, or that this is like a sales call now, and this is a cold call, and they are trying to pitch me something. Like I can feel it because I see that, and it's like the perfect time.
Yeah,
Everybody's calling around at the same time, because they've watched all these studies, they've looked at all these studies, and 7 to 9 p.m. in the evening, and then you get that call, this unknown number, and you pick it up, and you expect to just basically be rambled on. You expect to be like promised the world. You expect to have like all your issues solved right away, and you basically get overpromised, and underdelivered. And obviously you get pitched all the time. The whole point of this call is to pitch you, and everybody is just like, okay, when is the pitch coming? I kind of like what he's saying, but when is the pitch coming? When is the pitch coming? And now imagine if you're using voice AI, then you don't have the need for that, because then you have the capacity to call them again, to provide them even more value. With an appointment setter, they have to make everything out of that one call that they do, because they only have 100 calls per day. And if they like aren't on top of their game, aren't actually pitching people in the first call, then well, the people that you have called and you've messed up, they are never going to pick up again. And with voices, that's different, because now you can afford to not pitch in the first call. You can afford to not, just
exactly.
blast the lead with CTAs in
Yeah,
like the first contact. And this is the huge opportunity.
didn't think of it from that angle before, but yeah, I definitely agree. One thing that of course needs to be mentioned is that in most countries, cold calls B2C aren't even allowed. So if you're a business, and then you're not allowed to open the phone book and then just call random people. Yeah, that's not even allowed. And with voice AI, it's not allowed as well, obviously. So yeah, I don't
Yeah,
see a
but
huge
why?
problem
But
there.
why? But that's exactly the point, because why is that? Well, because this technology, cold calling, or just basically this method of like approach of lead generation, has existed before, and it has been just absolutely misused, in the past. Why are these laws, for example, in
Yeah.
Germany so strict? Well, because 10 years ago, you would have been blasted daily at least 3 times, either by even the same company. I mean, you've seen it. I've seen it myself, you know, like
Yeah.
when I watched my father in the kitchen, like, and he got called 3 times by the same fucking company, and they said, well, maybe want to consider buying a car from us. Well, maybe want to consider buying a car from us. Like, who doesn't get tired? Of course, everybody then like
Yeah.
contacted the laws and the lawmakers and the authorities, and then they said, oh, well, okay, we have like 1 million requests to publish this law, to publish this ruling a day. Well, let's
Yeah.
do it in that case, because funny, probably like the judges and the lawmakers were called themselves by some fucking weird company. So this is You don't even need voice AI to mess things up for people. To the
Absolutely.
nice things are going to get messed up anyway. If you overdo it, if
Yeah,
you overdo them.
probably. What I'm thinking right now is, I think you're 10 years ago, you're a company and you're just doing cold calls every day, and people always complain, and then all of a sudden the government creates a law prohibiting you from even doing it. I mean, that must suck. But it's of course the best thing to do, because every technology can be used to annoy people. Every technology can be used to do bad things, but every technology can also be used to do very good things and things that make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's what we're doing with voice AI. We're never going to create spam calls or scam calls. So we're here to create real value for real businesses. One point is, which I've also encountered, is that people are scared of getting worse customer support. So some people think, okay, now if I call a company, then some friendly employees answer the phone, and in the future it's just going to be some AI, and it's absolutely going to suck, and it's going to be like, yeah, press 1 for this, press 2 for this. People do think this. However, also with the demos that we both of us have already created, voice AI is really good, and it's it might be a bit worse than a human. Like, it's not going to know every single thing that a human knows. However, in some cases, it will know things that humans just don't know before. Because with voice AI, you can just give it a huge database, and then with the RAG technology, if you ask a question, then the bot is going to retrieve this exact paragraph from your database, and you're going to get the answer. There are always just going to be a human who is an intern on their first day, and they just doesn't know. And then he might say, I don't know it, or he might actually also give you an actual wrong answer or an incomplete answer. So yeah, in some cases, voice AI is definitely going to perform better than humans. So it might be a good thing for you. Also, voice AI doesn't even have to replace humans. Voice AI, I mean, we talked about before, it can just be used to replace the first level customer support. So when you first call, an AI answers the call, categorizes it, and then it might redirect you to the perfect human expert for this matter. And then you get perfect customer support from a person who actually really knows this stuff. So can be used in many different ways.
So basically pre-qualify leads, deload salespersons, clear up your funnel so that it's not clogged, so that you're ultimately efficient on the back end. And then that you can actually leave like the sales to the actual interested leads and your sales reps that have now the easiest sale possible. Because guess what? What the AI is able to do is like with 2 or 3 to 5 calls, the AI is able to turn like a truly like cold lead, maybe just like one second after opt-in, just by using this framework that we went over of providing value, not just selling up front. So then they come into the sales calls, and then it's like, yeah, where can I put my credit card? It's not even like, what are you offering? Why should I buy this from you? Like all of these objections, they should be handled before the sales call. Every single one of them. The only question that it should be in the sales call is, can I start yesterday or the day before? So that's what the AI should be used for, and that possibility is actually the one that is still left to us, thankfully. So all of these like bullshit methods of that just this again, there's the spam calling stuff, and all of the scamming is banned, obviously. So we can only use this for this one perfect use case that it actually perfectly fits as well. And this just kind of, to sum it up, is, if you now don't think that AI, voice AI, is a scam anymore, well, does it work? Are we being, again, overpromised stuff? Are people lying, like we've said on the demos? Well, it always comes down to the person that is building your agents, meaning, are they
Definitely.
doing enough testing? Are they doing enough quality control? Are they actually, like, after building, are they still looking at it a week later? Are they still, doing this ongoing maintenance and improving the product and the agent every single day? Trying to come up with new things, trying to make it more scalable, more reliable, more efficient, even faster than the day before. And this is like where, and this is actually what it comes down to. The person that actually is the brain behind the agent that's being built. Because the agents now, probably for the next couple of years, can't and won't be able to build themselves. So what you have to do as a consumer, as a business owner, is to actually find the people that are skilled enough and have like the stack, the first of all like the skill stack, and obviously like the reviews and the results to show for it. And this is exactly what this podcast aims to do, is to give these people that are actually capable and are actually skilled in this, to give them a platform and for you to find them. So if you're still watching till this point, then I would say that either you're a geek like us, or you're actually a business owner that's desperately in need of some voice AI.
Or someone who thinks it's a scam. But
Well,
at
true,
this
but
point, hopefully someone who thought it was a scam, and now hope we could show you that it can be used as a scam, or it can also be used in incredibly valuable ways.
but I would say, there's people that believe that anything is a scam from the onset. They are probably also impatient, so they probably have now missed out on this like opportunity that is voice AI, and will
Probably.
let them miss out on it. Let them miss out on it. They in 2 years they're going to turn around and then realize their mistakes of not jumping on this earlier.
Probably.
Of not jumping on this today, because the train today is only coming into the station. We are still really early, and again we've went over this before, but we are going to see immense improvements over even the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, and that's guaranteed because the people up there, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, OpenAI, they aren't sleeping. They are actively working on this, making this better. Teams at Vapi, teams at
Definitely.
Retail, teams at
Mhm.
PlayHT, DeepGram, 11 Labs, they are all on fire for this, just as we are. And they truly believe that this is a future. And if you have such an amount of people that are behind this, standing behind this, and making this happen, then it's definitely one of the most future-proof, ideas and technologies that is going to take over the market soon and is going to stay as well. And then what it only comes down to, obviously, is the people implementing it. That only the good guys implement it, and not the bad guys.
Exactly. I completely agree. And yeah, I think that's it. We talked about, is voice AI a scam? We showed you that it can be used as a scam. I hope we've been able to debunk some myths and to show you that it can also be used in incredibly valuable ways. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed, and hopefully see you in the next one.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.